So, the United States of America has some very iconic and terrific exports to the rest of the world. McDonald's, Coca Cola, baseball, but something else that the United States of America has been exporting to the rest of the world is sovereign citizen ideology. Behold a crowd in Prague in the Czech Republic engaging in a little bit of sovereign citizen nonsense. Let's watch this video real quick. Look at this guy getting smashed up here. Sorry, I don't speak Czech, and I don't have subtitles for it. Okay, so for my Czech-speaking fans and followers, maybe you can translate in the comments exactly what was said there. And I wanted to open with that video. Now we're going to read through this article and see exactly what was going down there in Prague in the Czech Republic. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Common Sense Academy. I'm your host, Joe Palmetto, Joe the Lawyer. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. It's a free way to support the show. Also, consider buying my book on sovereign citizens. The link is in the description below. For now, raise your cup, your glass in the air. Cheers with me. It tastes better when we sip together. I got some good Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Okay. Czechia's rabble-rousing pensioners take inspiration from U.S. sovereign citizens. As Jana Peterkova arrives at the courtroom, Pavel Zitko and other people remain shouting, "They are holding our brothers here in Prague on May 30th, 2023. The influence of the United States-based sovereign citizen movement is spreading to groups in the Czech Republic, including a mob of pensioners that stormed a Prague courtroom in May. A mob of pensioners stormed the Prague Municipal Court in May as a former journalist appealed a suspended sentence for spreading fake news. "We are the law," police were told. As one protester was arrested, officers were informed that they were restricting the freedom of a citizen of the Czechoslovak Federal Republic. And these are not the only such bizarre claims that Czech officials have faced in recent months. Struggling to make sense of a sheaf of homemade documents, clue number one, police at the finance ministry in March were told by a band of middle and old-aged invaders to hand over all of the state's assets. They should be happy, the interlopers added, that they let them keep their uniforms. Elsewhere, a judge in a provincial city courtroom was warned of the consequences if he didn't throw out the prosecution of a cannabis cultivator. And staff at an insurance company were bemused when a horde told them that their contracts were invalid. These unruly elderly gangs are the legitimate creditors of the Czech Republic. They insist that the 1993 division of Czechoslovakia was invalid and that this makes the Czech Republic, its institutions, and all its officials illegitimate. Let's take a look at their website here. I can't read anything even close to Czech, but I will assume that it is similar to many of the sovereign citizen websites that we see here in the United States. And remember, the sovereign citizen ideology a part of the one of the core conspiracy theories is that the Constitution is not legitimate because it replaced the Articles of Confederation. Therefore, the Articles of Confederation are the legitimate documents that outline the quote unquote Constitution of the United States, the founding documents. And it's something similar here. Czechoslovakia is saying that the prior breakup, the 1993 division, Czechoslovakia was invalid. It's just like one of my favorites were the Russian sovereign citizens. It said the Soviet Union is the legitimate government of Russia, not the Russian Federation. So, growing threat. The LCVR takes seriously its responsibility to fight back against these imposters parading as police, judges, and government, even if few others do. As citizens of the Czech Republic, we are obliged to take control of all property, a middle-aged woman informed staff and police at the Finance Ministry in March. We have come to take possession of the assets that were stolen from it. The members of the provisional government of the Czechoslovak Republic are present. But although these antics may appear humorous, the LCVR is provoking concern as its actions start to descend into violence, and it forms links with other factions from the country's anti-system and conspiracy theory cohort, similar to what happens in the United States and all the countries that get infected with the sovereign citizen ideology. The group hit the deadlines when it helped break down the door at the Municipal Court in Prague in late May. The invasion forced the judge to adjourn hearing Jana Peterkova's appeal against a 2-year suspended sentence imposed on her for publishing a series of videos intended to spread alarm during the COVID-19 pandemic. In one, she claimed that NATO troops had been ordered to shoot unvaccinated children. A week later, Peterkova herself led a similar mob to try to disrupt the trial of a pair of notorious disinformation and anti-vax activists for harassing a doctor and a biologist. This time, however, they were met by heavily armed police and ejected. Again, I am all for healthy skepticism and criticism, but this sovereign citizen stuff goes too far. The short shrift illustrates a shift in the view of the authorities. The Interior Ministry Center Against Hybrid Threats has noted the influence of the United States-based sovereign citizen movement on groups in the Czech Republic and warns of a growing security threat. Until now, manifestations of the SCM ideology in Czech Republic were rarely recorded, the Counter-Propaganda and Counterterrorism Unit said. But the situation has undergone a change in the last 6 months, and the attitudes associated with SCM now have considerable reach, especially as a result of the combined dissemination through quasi-media, social networks, and so-called anti-system influencers. The Security Information Service, BIS, Czechia's counterintelligence agency, sounds like the CIA, tells BIRN it's now monitoring the group LVCR. The FBI says it considers sovereign citizen extremists who have spread across the U.S. over the last 20 years or so a domestic terrorist movement. It certainly has domestic terrorism elements. Defined by a strongly anti-government stance based on conspiracy theories regarding the legitimacy of the state, often with racist and anti-Semitic strands attached, the loosely affiliated movement claims to have the right to ignore laws requiring them to pay taxes or follow traffic laws. Paper and bureaucratic terrorism is a typical tactic, the FBI noted. Activists often seek to overwhelm institutions with bizarre documents declaring sovereignty or to tie up officials in nonsensical arguments. That certainly happens in the United States. But there's a much more serious side to the movement. More extreme activists refuse entirely to submit to state authority and have committed numerous fraud and forgery crimes. Violent incidents have also been recorded, including multiple murders. Oh, that's interesting. Closer to home, murders have also been linked to Germany's Reichsbürger movement, which was implicated in a foiled coup attempt earlier this year. German intelligence has warned that the group's willingness to use violence and the recourse to various conspiracy theories form a dangerous connection. Czech flavors. For now, it seems the LCVR, which did not respond to attempts by Bern to make contact, is happily importing the non-violent elements of these international models. We are fighting for the restoration of the rule of law, which was stolen from the citizens of the Czech Republic, the website declares. This land is ours, it is our home. And bureaucratic terrorism, it seems, is the main tactic that it's using as it bids to reclaim that birthright. Czech conspiracy theorists have been using it for a while. During COVID-19, for instance, groups encouraged people to jam the systems of hospitals and vaccination centers with requests and queries. In the wake of the war in Ukraine, these disinformation networks and anti-system influencers appear to be starting to blend together with ideologues from the radical right and left and others dissatisfied with the country's direction and their own situation. They've been swift to latch onto narratives surrounding Prague's support for refugees from the east, its military backing for Kyiv, and the economic hardships the war has ushered in. These narratives have been at the forefront of a series of large anti-government protests in Prague over the past year, suggesting that, for the time being at least, these events could be acting as an engine of consolidation for the various factions attending. Peter Kova's busy schedule hints at the crossover. In the days after her twin court appearances, the former journalist and others attended a pro-Russian rally protesting the government's recent signing of a defense cooperation treaty with Washington. Linking up with the disinformation personality and her other causes has helped to raise the LVCR's profile. Although it's still rather marginal, LVCR is now the biggest group among a bevy of like-minded groups seeking to return to some mythological past, says Miroslav Merez, a professor of political science. They have a particularly Czech flavor, he notes, with some even harking back to the country's ancient pagan traditions as a basis for their claims of illegitimate governance. They stem from the pandemic, but now they're growing and seeking media attention as disinformation personalities like Peter Kova jump aboard. The sovereign citizen movement existed and was quite healthy long before the pandemic. Now, I see that the pandemic has probably caused a rise in these groups. Chairman of Law, Respect Expertise Party, Jindrich Rajshul attends an anti-government demonstration. False prophets. The role of influencers such as Peter Kova and others shouldn't be underplayed. The FBI defines 3 categories of SCM activists: those with genuine anti-system ideology, those seeking a quick fix for economic difficulties, and those seeking to exploit the former 2 for personal gain. If you read my book, my Sovereign Citizen book, I have additional categories, although I agree that those are 3 of the categories. Okay. The U.S. Domestic Intelligence Agency talks of numerous examples of large-scale fraud involving millions of dollars committed by sovereign gurus scalping gullible members of the community. Figures prominent on the Czech scene, including Ladislav Vrabel, who led the anti-government protests last year, have been revealed to be seeking money from the followers. Absolutely, millions of dollars. The central figure is Jan Makacek, who claims he is owed compensation due to an erroneous arrest in 1994. Compound interest, one of their favorite elements, means he is now owed billions of koruna, he asserts, making him the main legitimate creditor of the Czech Republic. Did the Czech not use the euro, or maybe they're just not into the euro because the sovereign citizens believe that the European Union is illegitimate. Having convinced his followers to join action, make claims against the illegitimate state, Makacek has taken on the essence of a religious guru and is often on the other end of the phone when the LVCR carry out their stunts. During the zeal he inspires in some, and his police listing as wanted and dangerous man, Makacek does not pose a serious threat to the state, reckons Mares. Nor, he adds, do the other leaders of Czechia's political extremities, because despite pandemic and war, consolidation is highly unlikely. I disagree. I think it's a serious threat. The anti-system scene is by its nature fragmented. The emphasis the far left and right place upon the need for a strong leader encourages competition for the role of figurehead and reduces opportunities for cooperation. Yeah, but, this movement's been growing so much. I understand it's loosely federated, but if it aligns, if it becomes united, it could be very powerful. The anti-system scene is, by its nature, fragmented, political scientist asserts. Illustrating this, Tomio Okamura, leader of Freedom and Direct Democracy, Czechia's establishment far-right parliamentary party, that individual is Japanese, remains wary of the anti-government protests. Despite the close ideological fit, he clearly has little interest in offering organizer Jindřich Rochel's rival PRO party any boost in challenging for his voter base. Okamura wants to remain the leader of Czechia's radical opposition and its most visible figurehead in the mainstream. Yeah, but these groups can fight and can morph into each other. Tomio Okamura. What an interesting fellow. He's a Japanese guy who is a Czech citizen. Okay, interesting. Maybe he's half Japanese. That's a very Japanese name. Okamura was born in Tokyo. His mother, Helena Okamura, was born in Holikova, a native of the Moravian Wallachia. Had moved there in 1996 following her marriage to Okamura's half-Japanese, half-Korean father, Matsu Okamura. Okay, very interesting. Therefore, while the war and the cost of living crisis has brought supporters of the SPD and PRO together on the street shoulder to shoulder with the likes of the LCVR and even more radical factions, this is likely to be temporary. Consolidation won't happen, Mahrez continues. That's illustrated by the swift turnover of leadership of the protests. I would be more worried about that, sir. I really would be. 10 months ago, Vrabel brought an estimated 70,000 onto Prague's Wenceslas Square in the first demonstration. That's a lot of people. Now, he's rarely seen, save for the odd court appearance, while Rochel receives most of the attention. These groups also appear split by the involvement or not of outside influences. While several political parties on the extreme left and right are understood to have international links, there's no evidence the LCVR has attracted the attention of Russia or China. The BIS also believes the troublemaking of the country's aging sovereign citizens is a purely domestic affair. I disagree with that. I believe that the sovereign citizen movement could become consolidated. I believe it poses a very active threat to most of the governments in which it is currently, in the countries and the governments where it's currently operating. And even if it doesn't take hold itself, it can feed into other groups which can become very, very powerful. Such as like QAnon in the United States. So keep your eye out, Czech Republic. Take this issue seriously. Sovereign citizen ideology, for better or worse, mostly for worse, is on the rise. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Common Sense Academy. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Think about buying my book to learn more about sovereign citizens as we here at my show try to debunk and defeat their influence. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.